So let's talk about some herbal remedies. All right. In the sixth edition of the book, Chemistry in Context, there's this table, and it just lists some common herbs and their possible benefits. And some of them you may be familiar with, some of them you may not be familiar with. But for example, licorice, coughs. I didn't know licorice helped with coughs. Echinacea, I have heard of that one before. Colds and flu. St. John's wort is a real popular herbal remedy that's supposed to help treat depression. However, one of the drug companies that makes a common drug pharmaceutical for depression did a study and found that there was no statistical effect of people using St. John's wort, of them having reduced symptoms of depression, so any more than somebody on a placebo. But it is one of the most popular herbal remedies, so it must be helping someone. But anyway, as I was looking through this list, I noticed that Valerian, and Valerian, this herb, showed up 3 times. It treats anxiety, let's see, insomnia, and stress and tension. So I thought I would just look that one up on the internet and see what I could find out about what valerian was, because I'd never heard of it before. Well, as it turns out, valerian comes from a plant that looks like this. It's a perennial, which means it's a flowering plant. Well, actually, perennials don't do flowering, but in this case, this is a flowering plant that comes back year after year. You plant it. It's not like an annual flowers, they die out every year and you have to replant them, but perennials come back year after year. And it looks like it has a beautiful blossom there. It comes in different colors, pink and purple and white. And it is native to Europe and Asia, and it is also now growing in the United States. And the herbal remedy itself doesn't come from the flower or the seed pod of the flower like the opiates do, for example, with morphine. But rather, the herb that is used is from the root. So somehow, over time, people have found that the root of this particular plant, when soaked in water and then mashed up and dried, leaves sort of an oily residue that has these effects. And the effects that it has is to, reduce anxiety, insomnia, stress, and tension. And so after it's typically sold in little containers. So I should write down what this is. This is the valerian plant. It's sold, in a bottle. Just looks like any other, pharmaceutical. They put it in capsules, so it looks like you're taking a pill. But really, what it is it's this mixture from this root, something that's been extracted from the root. And as it turns out, people have done some studies on it to try to see, what part of the body does it affect such that it would reduce anxiety, relieve insomnia, and reduce stress and tension. And it appears to bind to a neuroreceptor in the brain called the GABA receptor. And if you can block the GABA receptor, then you can slow down neurotransmissions and you can serve to depress the central nervous system. And another common pharmaceutical that has a similar activity is Valium. You may have heard of Valium before. It is a central nervous system depressor that's given to people if they've got, high anxiety or, sleeplessness and whatnot. It's a relaxant or a depressant type drug. All right. So it's similar in activity to the drug Valium. So people buy this herbal remedy to help calm themselves down, settle their nerves. But there have been some other studies done to show that if you give people this herbal remedy and give other people a placebo or back and forth, that there seems to be no statistical difference between, at least one study said that anyway, between the placebo, which is just like a sugar pill, and this herbal extract. So its effects are questionable. However, there is that scientific evidence that it does bind to the GABA receptors. They've done toxicology studies on it, and it's shown to be non-toxic. But if you do take more than the recommended amounts, like a lot of this, it can cause giddiness and disorientation. Okay, it's non-toxic, but it can have some unpleasant side effects. All right. Giddiness and disorientation. And you would think that that would be the case if you are suppressing your central nervous system. Okay, that's what depressants do. They depress your central nervous system. Let me see, what else do we want to say about this? Speaking of giddiness and disorientation, believe it or not, some people actually take large quantities of this as an illegal drug to get an illegal high, and it's been shown that some men in Iran actually use this drug as an illegal substance to get probably some sort of a disorientation effect, not unlike alcohol, large quantities of alcohol. All right, now there are some warnings about taking this particular herb. Since it is a central nervous system depressant, it's advised that you don't take this with other central nervous system depressants, such as alcohol, or benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines are a class of compounds. I'm going to write it down here. It's a big word. I'll just say BD. Benzodiazepines. Valium happens to be a benzodiazepine. Barbiturates. Barbiturates are similar to the benzodiazepines, only more dangerous. And barbiturates are used, for example, for general anesthesia. And also opiates are also depressants. So any of these things, this particular herb should not be taken with, because it can have a multiplier effect since they're all depressants. Okay, so that's just an example of one herb, herbal remedy, what the symptoms that it's supposed to treat, and then some studies that have been done on it and where it comes from. I just thought that was kind of interesting. If you're interested in any of the others, I suggest you look them up. And I suggest also, if you ever consider taking any kind of herbal remedy, that you look up the side effects and any information you can about it before you start taking it.